The yacht the Sovereign was supposed to be unstoppable. Stretching nearly 300 feet, wrapped in white steel and glass, it was the crown jewel of Victor Hale's empire, an experimental hybrid vessel designed to revolutionize luxury marine travel. But that morning, it floated lifeless in the marina, engines silent, power systems locked in conflict, and pride bleeding out with every passing minute. The dock buzzed with frustration. Over 100 engineers crowded the deck and pier, men and women in crisp uniforms, some flown in overnight from Europe and Asia. Laptops blinked warnings. Diagnostic screens froze. No one spoke above a whisper anymore. They had exhausted every possibility. Victor Hale stood at the center of it all, his tailored suit sharp against the salt air. His jaw tightened as he stared at the massive engine bay like it had personally betrayed him. Time was money, and today, money was burning. "This boat launches tonight," Victor said, his voice calm but dangerous. "The press is coming. Investors are coming. Failure is not an option." The chief engineer, a gray-haired man with trembling hands, stepped forward. "Sir, we've isolated the issue, but we can't override it. The AI navigation core and the manual propulsion system are issuing conflicting commands. Each time we correct one, the other collapses." Victor's eyes darkened. "So rewrite the system." "We tried. Every configuration. Every fail-safe." The engineer hesitated. "The system is fighting itself." A heavy silence followed. Victor exhaled sharply. "You're telling me 100 of the world's best minds are defeated by a boat?" No one answered. That was when a quiet voice cut through the tension. "Sometimes machines don't break," it said. "They just get confused." Everyone turned. At the far end of the dock stood a man who clearly didn't belong. His clothes were worn, his boots scuffed and stained with oil. A small, dented toolbox rested beside his feet. Behind him stood a boy, maybe 10 years old, clutching a backpack and watching the scene with wide, curious eyes. Victor frowned. "Who are you?" The man cleared his throat. "Daniel Reed. I work down the coast. Fix fishing boats. Small engines. Old stuff." Soft laughter rippled among the engineers. Victor stepped closer, sizing him up. "Then you're very lost." Daniel shook his head. "I was waiting for my brother's boat to be serviced. Saw you all arguing with the engine. Thought I'd say something." The chief engineer scoffed. "This isn't a trawler. It's a next-generation propulsion system." Daniel nodded. "All engines breathe the same way. They just speak different languages." That earned louder laughter. Victor folded his arms. "You think you can fix what 100 engineers couldn't?" Daniel met his gaze without fear. "I think they're listening too hard to the computers." Victor's patience snapped. "If you're so good, then fix my boat." His voice echoed across the dock. "You have 1 hour. Fail, and you leave this marina." Daniel glanced at the boy behind him. 30 minutes, Daniel said quietly. The laughter died instantly. Victor smirked. "Be my guest." Daniel climbed aboard the Sovereign, ignoring the stairs. He knelt beside the massive engine bay, surrounded by screens screaming error codes. One by one, he shut them all down. "What is he doing?" someone whispered. Daniel closed his eyes. He placed his hand on the engine casing, feeling the faint heat, the subtle vibration still trapped inside the metal. He listened, not with software, but with experience earned in storms, darkness, and desperation. "Your problem isn't software," Daniel said calmly. "It's authority." Victor frowned. "Explain." "You gave control to two systems and told both they were in charge. When they disagree, neither backs down." Daniel reached deep into the bay, loosening a bolt no one had touched, adjusting a hidden mechanical governor designed as a backup, but never properly integrated. The chief engineer's eyes widened. That component was never meant to override the AI. Daniel smiled faintly. But it was meant to save it. He rerouted a single cable, tightened the bolt, and stood. "Start it." The engineer hesitated, then pressed the ignition. The yacht hummed. Low. Steady. Alive. Gasps rippled across the deck. Diagnostic screens flickered green. The impossible had just happened. Victor stared, stunned. "How did you know?" he asked. Daniel wiped his hands. "Engines behave like people. Give them clear leadership, and they work. Confuse them, and they shut down." Victor's gaze shifted to the boy on the dock. "Who's he?" "My son, Ethan." Victor paused. "What do you want for this?" Daniel hesitated. "A job. And medical insurance. My boy needs surgery." The dock fell silent again, but this time, it wasn't failure they felt. Victor studied Daniel, then nodded slowly. "Come to my office tomorrow." As Daniel walked away with his son, neither of them realized that the moment a poor father fixed a billionaire's boat, he had also steered his own life onto a completely new course. Daniel Reed had never been inside a building like Victor Hale's headquarters. The glass tower rose into the sky like a monument to certainty, everything Daniel's life had never been. He adjusted the collar of his only clean shirt as he stood in the lobby, clutching a visitor badge that felt heavier than it should have. "Mr. Reed." A woman in a tailored suit smiled politely. "Mr. Hale is expecting you." Daniel followed her into an elevator that ascended in silence. His reflection stared back at him from the mirrored walls, older than his years, eyes tired but alert. He thought of Ethan sitting in a hospital waiting room, pretending not to be scared. The doors opened to a private floor. Victor Hale stood by the window, hands behind his back, overlooking the city like a general surveying a battlefield. "You're late," Victor said without turning. Daniel stiffened. "Traffic." Victor turned then, studying him. "I had 100 engineers tell me my yacht was impossible to fix. You fixed it in 30 minutes. So I'm curious, who are you really?" Daniel hesitated. "Just a man who learned to listen." Victor gestured to a chair. "Sit." Victor slid a thin folder across the desk. Daniel didn't open it. "I know your story," Victor said. "Dropped out of engineering school in your final year. Left to take care of your wife during chemo. Worked docks, scrap yards, night shifts. After she passed, you raised your son alone." Daniel swallowed. "You never went back," Victor continued. "Why?" Daniel's voice was steady but soft. "Because survival doesn't wait." Victor nodded slowly. "Your son's condition, congenital heart valve defect. Surgery is expensive, risky, urgent." Daniel's hands clenched. "I've saved for years. It's still not enough." Victor leaned forward. "It is now." Daniel looked up sharply. "The surgery is scheduled for next week," Victor said. "Top hospital, top surgeon, fully covered." Emotion surged through Daniel's chest, tightening his throat. "Why?" Victor's answer was simple. "Because you didn't ask for money. You asked for responsibility." Victor slid another document across the desk. "Head of diagnostics," he said. "My engineers design systems. You'll find their blind spots." Daniel stared at the offer. "Me? I don't even have a degree." Victor smiled faintly. "I don't hire paper. I hire results. Daniel's first week changed everything. Instead of offices, he worked in engine rooms. Instead of screens, he listened. He asked questions no one else did. Why does this fail only under stress? Why does it behave when watched? Engineers resisted him at first. "He's a dock mechanic," they whispered. Until he saved a cargo ship mid-ocean using nothing but a wrench and instinct. Then another. And another. Slowly, the culture shifted. Engineers stopped competing, and started collaborating. One night, Victor visited the shipyard unannounced. He found Daniel sitting on the dock, watching the Sovereign sway gently in the water. "Do you know why I built that yacht?" Victor asked. Daniel shrugged. "To prove something." Victor exhaled. "To prove I was smarter than my father." He ran ships with his hands. "I ran them with algorithms." Daniel nodded. "Both matter." Victor looked at him. "You embarrass my best people." Daniel smiled slightly. "They don't need embarrassing. They need reminding." "Of what?" "That machines don't care who built them. Only how they're treated." The surgery was a success. Daniel sat beside Ethan's hospital bed, holding his hand as monitors beeped steadily. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel like a threat. "You fixed the billionaire's boat," Ethan whispered. "Does that mean we're rich?" Daniel laughed softly. "No, buddy. It means we're okay." Weeks turned into months. Victor's fleet became the most reliable in the industry. Investors noticed. Profits soared. But Victor found himself drawn less to numbers, and more to the shipyards. One evening, he watched Daniel mentor a group of young engineers, letting them fail safely, guiding without commanding. He leads like he has nothing to prove, Victor thought. That night, Victor made a decision. He handed Daniel a small black folder. "Open it." Inside was a share certificate. "Part ownership," Victor said. "You're not an employee anymore." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't do this for ownership." Victor smiled. "Exactly why you deserve it." Daniel looked out at the water. "My son asked me if being rich makes you important." Victor waited. I told him no, Daniel said. Being useful does. Victor nodded slowly, something inside him settling for the first time in decades. As the sovereign glided smoothly across the water, Victor realized the truth. He had built his empire by commanding systems. But Daniel Reed had taught him how to understand them. And that made all the difference.